Okay, this story is shocking. A woman was kept captive for more than 20 years by a mother of 10. So why is this case only being revealed now? I'm Kamar. Let's break it down. Here's what happened. A woman in England has recently been convicted of modern-day slavery after holding another woman prisoner in her home for over 2 decades. And if you're imagining some isolated compound or a hidden underground room, that's not the case. It was just a regular house. The woman responsible is Amanda. According to prosecutors, the victim was brought into Amanda's home when she was only 16 years old and had learning difficulties. At first, it might sound like Amanda was stepping in to help. The girl was already coming from a troubled and unstable family situation. But what seemed like help quickly turned into something far worse. Police say Amanda took control of her life, and instead of protecting her, she trapped her. For more than 20 years, the woman endured abuse, strict control, and non-stop labor. And when I say labor, I mean everything imaginable.
She was made to clean the house, cook, run errands, and just to really underline how unhinged this is, she was also forced to get Amanda's 10 children ready for school. 10. The conditions inside the home were exactly what you'd expect from a situation like this. Overcrowded, dirty, plaster literally hanging off of moldy walls, rubbish piled up in the backyard. And the room she was kept in? Police describe it like a prison cell, which feels accurate when you look at this picture. There are no records of the victim having any contact with social services after the late 1990s, right around the time she moved in. From that point on, it's like she just vanished. No school records, no check-ins, no one asking questions for years. But behind closed doors, prosecutors say Amanda unleashed absolute hell on her, and all of it happened quietly in a regular house on a normal street, which somehow makes it worse. When neighbors were asked about her later, they all say basically the same thing. They hadn't seen her in years. Some of them didn't even realize she still lived there, which is chilling, but also kind of explains how this went on for so long. Because from the outside, it looked like nothing was happening. No noise, no drama, no obvious red flags spilling into the street. And meanwhile, inside the house, everything was happening. According to the victim, between 1997 and 2021, Amanda strangled her repeatedly. She says she'd force her head down the toilet, then pour cleaning fluids over her face and down her throat, which is already horrifying. And then it just keeps going. Prosecutors say Amanda stamped on her, hit her in the face with a broom handle, hard enough that she lost her teeth. She would forcibly shave off her hair, even though the victim wanted to keep it long. And that detail matters because this isn't just violence, it's control. It's humiliation. It's making sure someone feels small all the time. There's also this moment that really says everything. At one point, the victim is given a cell phone, which in that situation is basically hope in plastic form. But Amanda finds it, takes it, and hits her around the face with it, giving her a black eye, then smashes it with a hammer. And outside, the neighbors are just thinking, haven't seen that girl in a while, which is how 20 plus years disappear. And here's another part that makes this whole thing even harder to sit with. For years, Amanda was claiming government benefits for the victim. Since around the year 2000, the money was paid straight into Amanda's bank account. And yet, according to police, the victim herself was forced to live in extreme poverty. Hand-me-down clothes, bare minimum everything. No access to the money that technically existed because of her. And no payment for the work she was doing around the house. And when they say work, they don't mean normal chores.
They mean hours at a time. Investigators say she was forced to remain on her knees for hours every day just scrubbing and cleaning. And then there's a detail that somehow feels both cruel and unbelievably petty. Police say Amanda wouldn't even allow the victim to properly wash herself, yet she was still expected to bathe the children and prepare baths for Amanda. Food was treated the same way. According to police, she was only given 1 meal per day, usually just leftovers or whatever scraps were left behind. When the hunger became too much, she would secretly hide small sweet foods and eat them in private. That's the kind of thing people do when they're living in fear, being controlled, and never knowing when they'll be allowed to eat again. And whenever the chores weren't done exactly how Amanda wanted, the threats weren't just empty words. Investigators say those threats were enforced with real violence. Amanda would regularly beat her if the housework wasn't completed properly. This pattern continued year after year, lasting all the way until March 15, 2021.
That's when the victim finally manages to call someone she knows for help, using yet another secret cell phone, according to police. And around the same time, one of Amanda's sons reaches out to the cops himself because he was concerned about this woman, which is the moment this finally cracks open. Police finally arrive at the house around 10:40 p.m. one night in March of 2021, and what they find stops everyone in their tracks. The victim, as described by officers, is frightened and gaunt, severely malnourished, and she smells strongly of body odor because, as we already know, she wasn't allowed to wash herself. At the time she's found, she's in her early 40s, which means she's been trapped in this house for basically her entire adult life. Her hair has been forcibly cut. All of her teeth are gone. All of them. She's taken to the dentist for the first time, and doctors start documenting what years of abuse actually look like on a human body. They note scarring around her mouth, believed to be from repeated contact with cleaning fluids. They see thick calluses on her ankles, consistent with her account of spending hours every day on her knees scrubbing floors. The dentist later tells police that she would have been in severe pain at multiple points over the years. Untreated infections, abscesses, things that never healed because no one ever helped her. Even seasoned officers are visibly shaken. In their words, Amanda kept an extremely vulnerable person captive in appalling conditions for over 2 decades. Instead of caring for her, something she was supposed to be doing, she exploited her, forced her into domestic servitude, and backed it up with violence. And once all of that is laid out in court, once everyone has seen the photos, heard the doctors, and listened to the police, you get to the part of the trial where the defense has to say something. So here's what Amanda's lawyer goes with. He tells the court the victim's life was actually much more complicated and nuanced than prosecutors were making it out to be.
The defense argued that this situation wasn't abuse but simple neglect. According to them, everyone in the house was living in extremely poor conditions. The lawyer told the court that Amanda's own children slept in filthy rooms, were not vaccinated, didn't go to school, and suffered from problems like rotting teeth and head lice. His argument was that the situation was bad for everyone, not just the victim. But that explanation didn't answer the bigger question. How do you justify more than 20 years of captivity, forced labor, and violence against a woman who says she wasn't allowed to leave? After hearing all the evidence, the jury reached its decision. On January 21, 2026, 56-year-old Amanda Wixon was found guilty at Gloucester Crown Court of 2 counts of forced or compulsory labor, 1 count of false imprisonment, and 3 counts of assault, though she was cleared of 1 assault charge. After the verdict, she was released on conditional bail while waiting for sentencing. As she left the courtroom, a reporter asked what she wanted to say to the victim. Her response was short, "Not a lot." When asked if she felt sorry, she replied, "No, I never done it." Meanwhile, the victim is finally starting a real life. According to Sky News, she now lives with a foster family, goes to college, and has even traveled abroad. However, the trauma remains. She still has nightmares and feels the need to clean constantly, something that makes sense after spending decades being punished for the smallest mess. It may not be a perfect ending, but at last she has her freedom.